Let me start with something most men never hear directly from women. We all have weaknesses. And no, I don't mean the shallow stereotypes you see online. I mean the deep, emotional soft spots that, if a man understands, he can connect with a woman on a whole different level. The truth is, women are not as mysterious as we like to make ourselves out to be. We drop hints, we reveal patterns, and we all have certain things that tug at us, whether we admit it or not. Now here's the controversial part. A lot of men misuse this knowledge. Some men learn a woman's weakness and exploit it in manipulative ways. That's not what I'm here to encourage you to do. I'm here to help you understand how women really think and feel so that you stop playing blind in dating and relationships. Because let's be real, too many men waste time guessing, over-investing, or misreading women. Meanwhile, the guys who understand our psychology end up creating the strongest connections. Think about it. Women aren't drawn to perfection. We are drawn to how a man makes us feel. And that's where our weaknesses show. Whether it's the way a man carries himself, how he listens, how he holds boundaries, or how he makes us feel safe. Certain things stick with us and influence how much we value a man. This isn't about tricks. This is about clarity. If you know the 7 core weaknesses women have, you'll stop confusing our moods, our signals, and our behaviors. You'll finally understand what actually matters. And once you know it, you'll notice just how often women respond in predictable ways. So today, I'm pulling back the curtain. I'm going to walk you through the top 7 female weaknesses every man must know. And by the end, you'll see women differently. Not as confusing puzzles, but as human beings with patterns you can learn, respect, and even use to build stronger attraction. 1. Confidence that silently commands attention. If there's one weakness women have that most men underestimate, it's confidence. And let me be very clear here. I don't mean arrogance. I don't mean loud bravado. And I definitely don't mean a man who tries too hard to prove himself. Real confidence is quiet. It's calm. It's the kind of energy that makes a woman notice you without you even needing to speak. Here's the truth. Women are highly tuned to pick up on how a man feels about himself. Before you even open your mouth, we're reading your posture, your eye contact, and the way you take up space. A man who walks into a room and doesn't need validation, doesn't need to be seen, but simply is. That's magnetic. It's the kind of thing that makes us pay attention, even when we didn't plan to. Now, let me explain why this hits us so deeply. Confidence signals security. It tells a woman, this man doesn't crumble under pressure. This man knows who he is. And in a world where many men seek approval or chase attention, the one who carries himself with self-assurance automatically stands out. You don't need to be the most attractive, the richest, or the loudest. Confidence amplifies everything else you have because it makes us feel like we can relax around you. Think about this. A woman might talk to 10 guys in one night, but the one she remembers is the one who didn't fidget, didn't oversell himself, didn't try to one-up anyone else. He just was. That calm self-possession is what sticks in our heads, even when we act like we're not paying attention. And yes, that's a weakness for women. Because once we sense that kind of confidence, we can't help but compare you to everyone else who doesn't have it. But here's where most men mess this up. They confuse confidence with performance. They think they need to flex money, status, or achievements. That's not confidence. That's insecurity in disguise. The truth is, confidence is felt when you can sit in silence with someone and not feel the need to fill the space. It's when you make eye contact and don't flinch. It's when you hold your boundaries instead of folding just to please. And trust me, women notice. We may act unbothered, but inside, we're paying attention. confidence that doesn't need to be announced is one of the deepest weaknesses we have. It disarms us because it makes us feel like we're the ones trying to win your attention, not the other way around. And when that shift happens, attraction follows. So, remember this. If you want to tap into one of the strongest female weaknesses, stop trying so hard. Learn to own your space, trust yourself, and let your presence do the work. 2. The power of emotional presence. Now, let's talk about something most men overlook. Emotional presence. If confidence is what grabs a woman's attention, emotional presence is what keeps it. And let me tell you something straight. Women have a serious weakness for a man who knows how to be fully present in the moment with her. Here's why. Most guys are distracted. They're glued to their phones. They're rehearsing what to say next, or they're thinking about how to impress her instead of actually listening to her. Women notice this instantly. It feels like we're talking to a wall, and nothing kills attraction faster than a man who isn't there. On the flip side, when a man gives us his full attention, it hits differently. We feel seen, understood, and safe. And that's a weakness we can't help but respond to. Think about this. A woman might meet plenty of men who compliment her looks, buy her drinks, or try to charm her with jokes, but the man who actually locks in, maintains steady eye contact, and listens without rushing to respond, that's the man who stands out. Why? Because presence is rare, and women crave it, whether we admit it or not. Emotional presence is powerful because it creates connection. It makes us feel like time slows down, like the world fades, and for that moment, it's just you and her. That's intoxicating. And here's the twist. Most men don't even realize they're competing with other men who don't know how to be present. You don't need to be the funniest, smartest, or richest guy in the room. You just need to make her feel like she matters in the moment you're with her. Now let me warn you. This isn't about overdoing it. Some men make the mistake of turning presence into pressure. They stare too intensely, they overshare, or they cling too quickly. That's not emotional presence. That's emotional neediness. The key here is balance. Presence means you're with her, but you're not dependent on her reaction to validate you. You're calm, engaged, and steady, not desperate. And here's where it gets really interesting. Emotional presence also creates mystery. Because when a woman feels truly seen by you, it makes her wonder about you. She starts asking herself, why do I feel so comfortable around him? Why do I want more of this? That's where the weakness kicks in. The more she experiences your presence, the more she craves it. 3. Masculine mystery and unpredictability. Here's a truth most men don't hear often. Women are weak for mystery. And I don't mean games, lies, or manipulation. I'm talking about unpredictability, the kind of man who doesn't reveal everything at once, who keeps us guessing just enough that we can't fully figure him out. That's magnetic, and it taps into one of the deepest female weaknesses. See, women are naturally curious. We analyze, we wonder, we overthink. If a man gives us everything about himself up front, his feelings, his plans, his intentions, it feels nice for a moment, but it also makes him predictable. Predictable often feels safe, yes, but it doesn't create excitement. Attraction thrives on a little tension, a little wondering, a little not knowing what's coming next. That's why mystery works so powerfully. Think about it like this. When a man doesn't rush to explain every move he makes, when he leaves space for us to wonder, he automatically becomes more attractive. It creates this sense of, who is he really? What's he thinking? Why do I want to know more? That questioning is the spark of fascination, and fascination is the root of obsession. Here's where men often get it wrong. Some think mystery means being cold, unresponsive, or playing hard to get. That's not mystery. That's disinterest, and women can feel the difference. True mystery comes from being secure in yourself and not needing to constantly overshare or prove anything. You can listen more than you talk. You can keep certain details about your life private until the right moment. And you can surprise her with actions instead of telling her everything beforehand. Another layer of mystery is unpredictability. Not in the sense of being unstable, but in the sense that you don't follow the exact same pattern every time. If she knows every text will come at the same time, every date will feel the same, and every conversation will play out like a script, she gets comfortable, but not excited. On the other hand, if sometimes you text less, sometimes you plan something different, sometimes you pull back and give space, that unpredictability stirs emotions. It makes her wonder what you'll do next, and that wondering keeps her invested. 4. The effect of dominant masculine energy. Here's something you need to understand about women. No matter how strong, independent, or self-sufficient a woman is, she cannot resist the presence of a man who carries dominant masculine energy. This isn't about control, aggression, or trying to overpower her. True masculine dominance is calm, steady, and unshakable. It's the kind of energy that makes a woman feel safe, grounded, and naturally feminine in your presence. Women are wired to respond to energy. When a man walks into a room confident in himself, not loud, not arrogant, but sure of who he is, women notice. We feel it. It's in the way you move, the way you speak, and the way you hold yourself. Masculine dominance is about presence. It's about not being easily swayed by emotions, not folding under pressure, and not needing external validation to feel good about yourself. Here's where a lot of men mess this up. They confuse dominance with control. They think being dominant means making all the rules, deciding everything, or being forceful. That's not attractive. That's overcompensation. Real dominance is subtle. It's you being the man who can take the lead without bragging about it. It's you being able to hold space for her emotions without losing your own center. It's you being decisive, not because you need power, but because you're grounded enough to trust yourself. And let me tell you this, women crave that feeling. A man with strong masculine energy allows us to relax into our feminine side. We don't have to carry the weight, make every decision, or always be on. That balance is what creates polarity. And polarity is what drives attraction. If you're too passive, she feels like she has to take charge, and that kills desire. If you're too controlling, she feels suffocated, and that also kills desire. The sweet spot is dominance without force, leadership without ego. Think about it. When a man looks a woman in the eyes with calm confidence, when he stands firm in who he is without trying to impress, when he listens deeply instead of reacting defensively, that's dominance. When he takes action instead of waiting for her to decide everything, when he shows self-control instead of falling apart under stress, that's dominance. And when he does all of this consistently, he creates an environment where a woman feels both secure and deeply drawn to him. Masculine energy is irresistible because it's rare. Too many men either collapse into passivity or overcompensate with arrogance. The man who holds that centered, steady, dominant presence, he stands out. He becomes unforgettable because every woman he interacts with feels the difference. 5. The subtle power of making her jealous. Now, let me be clear from the start. I'm not telling you to play childish games or intentionally try to hurt a woman's feelings. But if you really want to understand female psychology, you need to know this. Jealousy is one of the strongest emotional triggers a woman has. When she feels it, even subtly, she cannot ignore it. And the man who can naturally stir this reaction without trying too hard becomes unforgettable. Here's why. Jealousy reminds a woman that she's not the only option. It shakes her comfort zone. It forces her to confront the reality that if she doesn't value you, someone else will. Women hate the idea of losing a man they feel connected to, especially to another woman. It touches a primal part of us: competition, desire, and fear of loss, all wrapped into one. The key here is subtlety. A man who flaunts other women in a desperate attempt to get attention comes across as insecure. That doesn't build respect. What does work is when your lifestyle naturally reflects that you are desirable and that women enjoy being around you. For example, if you're social, confident, and women are clearly comfortable laughing with you, she notices. If you're admired and respected by others, she notices. You don't need to say a word. Your presence and interactions speak for themselves. Here's the thing. When a woman sees that other women are drawn to you, she feels both challenged and intrigued. She might get annoyed. She might act like it doesn't bother her. But inside, she's thinking, why do they like him? What's so special about him? I need to make sure he doesn't slip away. That small emotional discomfort heightens her attraction. She suddenly invests more energy because jealousy awakens the fear of losing something valuable. 6. Why emotional stability is a woman's kryptonite. If there's one thing most men underestimate about women, it's how deeply we are affected by your emotional stability. I'll be blunt. A man who can stay calm under pressure, grounded when life gets messy, and steady when emotions are running high will always stand out. It doesn't matter how handsome, rich, or charming you are. If you're unstable, reactive, or easily shaken, a woman won't see you as long-term material. But if you're stable, composed, and in control of yourself, you become unforgettable. Here's why. Women live in a world of emotions. We feel everything deeply. Our moods shift. Hormones, stress, daily pressures, they all affect us more than we'd like to admit. So when we're around a man who can stay steady through it all, it's like having an anchor in the middle of a storm. We remember that kind of man because he gives us something we can't easily give ourselves: calmness, balance, and security. Now, don't mistake stability for being emotionless. That's not attractive either. A man who acts like a robot, never showing care or passion, comes across as cold and disconnected. What women actually crave is a man who feels emotions but doesn't get lost in them. When a problem shows up, he doesn't panic. When she tests him, he doesn't lash out or beg. When life throws him a curveball, he doesn't spiral. He adjusts and handles it. That's the kind of strength women admire and respect. Think about it from this angle. Women can find plenty of men who are fun, exciting, or physically attractive. But very few men have true emotional discipline. That's rare. And that rarity makes it powerful. A woman might date several men in her lifetime, but the man she never forgets is the one who could handle her storms without losing himself. The one who made her feel safe without saying a word. The one who didn't crumble when she tested him, but instead smiled, stood tall, and carried on like he knew exactly who he was. 7. Stop thinking. It's about what you do. It's about who you are. Men often get trapped in the mindset of, what can I do to make her want me? Or, what moves can I pull to make her never forget me? But let me be brutally honest with you. Women don't remember a man because of some checklist of things he did. We remember him because of who he was when he was with us. And if that truth doesn't wake you up, it should. Think about it. Any man can take a woman to dinner, buy her flowers, or text her sweet things. But those gestures don't make him unforgettable. They're surface level. And if that's all he brings, he'll blend in with every other guy she's ever dated. What really makes a woman never forget you is the way you carried yourself, the way you made her feel, and the kind of energy you brought into her life. That's not a trick. That's character. The problem is, too many men chase shortcuts. They think if they memorize some clever line, apply a strategy, or act a certain way temporarily, they'll win a woman over. But here's the ugly truth. Women see through that. If it's fake, it doesn't last. If it's not real, it eventually cracks. And when it cracks, she realizes you weren't who you presented yourself to be. That's the fastest way to make yourself forgettable. So here's the wake-up call. Stop focusing on impressing women and start focusing on becoming a man you're proud of. Women are drawn to men who don't need to prove themselves because their actions already speak. The way you handle challenges, the way you carry yourself in silence, the way you respect yourself. That's what sticks in a woman's memory. Women don't sit around reminiscing about a guy because he texted "good morning" every day. We remember the man who made us feel calm when life was chaos. We remember the man who stood his ground when we tested him. We remember the man who respected himself enough to walk away when we crossed the line. Those things come from identity, not tactics. Here's the truth you probably don't hear enough. Women never forget a man who leaves a mark on their soul, not just their memory. And that mark has nothing to do with money, looks, or smooth words. It's about presence. It's about how deeply you stand in who you are, how much respect you carry for yourself, and how consistently you show up in a way that doesn't need validation. That's what makes a man unforgettable. Here's a controversial statement for you. If a woman forgets you easily, it means you never stood out in the first place. Painful? Yes. But freeing? Absolutely. Because that means it's not about chasing women or bending yourself out of shape to please them. It's about becoming a man who naturally commands respect and leaves a lasting impression simply by the way he lives his life. Women don't forget the men who challenged them, who held their ground, who made them feel safe, but also kept them on their toes. Those men are rare. And that's exactly why we never forget them. So now it's your turn. Ask yourself honestly, are you the man she'll never forget? Or just another name she won't even think about in a few months? The choice is yours. Drop your thoughts and experiences in the comments. I want to hear your stories, your wins, and even your lessons learned, because these conversations are where real growth happens.